What it be, what it be, what it do, what it do. It's your host Dave with the Dave and Blue Show. Tell your mama, your cousin, your bro to like, share, and subscribe to the Dave and Blue Show. 24-13, Oklahoma defeats Michigan in Norman, Oklahoma in front of 85,000 screaming fans and a whole lot of hullabaloo. That game was crazy. That game was crazy. We, Michigan football, absolutely missed on the keys for the game, and that's why we lost. We didn't control the line of scrimmage. We didn't stay ahead of the sticks for the most part. The receivers were, at least offensively, these are the three keys offensively. The receivers were, yeah, that was tough. The receivers didn't, they did not do well. 9 for 24, 37% completion rating, no touchdowns, no interceptions for Bryce Underwood. People might look at that stat line and say, oh, Venables confused him and it was too loud, but in reality, our offensive line was getting destroyed on every single play. El Hadi went down with an injury, I think midway through the first half. The offensive line was just getting torn and battered for the entirety of the game, quite honestly. The running game, establishing the running game, that was one of our keys on offense as well. Controlling the line of scrimmage is more defensive line, but we also struggle with that offensively as well. But establishing the running game, I think we had about 150 rushing yards. 75-yard touchdown was a bright spot for Justice Haynes. That was incredible. Offensively, I think a lot of it was Chip Lindsey. I'm hoping it was Chip Lindsey trying not to put Bryce Underwood in bad spots by having him just sling the ball around, because all of what we saw, with the exception of about 5 or 6 other plays, were all we saw was bubble screens and runs, bubble screens and runs, bubble screens and runs, and a play action pass that was beyond 15 yards once every 8 plays or so. I'm probably exaggerating, but that's what it looked like and that's what it felt like. I think that the offensive line was getting just torn apart, and so Bryce had no time to throw, and so it forced him into some mistakes, and that is in part because of the defense. So in a way, in a sense, Venables cooked that up, and Bryce was attacked by the defense. So, he didn't turn it over. I did say that before. I said he wasn't going to turn the ball over like a regular freshman, and he didn't. For the most part, his throws were not even... for the most part, he only completed 9 passes, but, a few of it, his completions were not... His completions weren't bad. Some of his incompletions were rough because he had no time to actually step into the throw or to read his progressions. He had to catch it and just get it out immediately. And that is essentially what Venables wanted to do, and he succeeded. So as far as that aspect of Bryce not seeing a defense like this before and that type of thing, then yes. But he also hadn't seen his offensive line just crumble and wilt at the pressure either. The offensive line was getting tortured. The offensive line was getting absolutely destroyed. I felt bad. It was rough because that was brutal to watch. I've never seen our offensive line get just mauled like that before. Even last year when we were struggling, the offensive line wasn't getting just pancaked. Our offensive line was getting pancaked left and right. Guys were on their faces. Guys were getting rolled up on. Guys were getting run over. At one point, Crippen just got straight up run over. It was bad. It was rough. The establishing the run game. Justice Haynes had a 75-yard touchdown run. That was really good. That was a really well blocked play, and he had like a tunnel to go. It was a really good, really big hole. It looked like a tunnel, just right through it. He bounced it to the left side and was gone. That was after halftime. At the half, it was 14-0, and it was not looking good. That was the first time apparently that Michigan's been shut out in the first half, or yeah, in the first half since 2020 against Wisconsin. So I think it was 59 games that we haven't been shut out in the half or in the first half anyway, since that game in 2020 against Wisconsin. So that was brutal. Whew, that was tough. We Yeah, so our keys offensively were stay ahead of the sticks, receivers, and establishing the run game. Uh, we I don't really think we stayed in front of the sticks that much or that well. We somewhat established the run game, but to a fault almost. Like, I mean, it felt like we were just running into a wall at certain points. There were a few times where they brought in two extra linemen and a tight end, and it was like 7 or 8 offensive linemen on the field at the one time. It was interesting just to run it straight to that side just to gain like a yard or two. I don't know. I don't know. It was, and there were a ton of bubble screens. For whatever reason, Lindsey didn't open up and just throw the ball. I mean, they were able to break 8, 9 people in the box and just assume that and just rush and block it and block us in. They didn't let. I mean, they should have let. I mean, I get it. The pressure was there and things like that, but if you at least try and throw the ball beyond the screen pass, it at least keeps the defense honest. And they did a few times, and the defense had to back off. But then they went right back to the running endlessly and the bubble screens. And they did a lot of motioning, which was good, but the motioning either drew players on defense into our play or didn't work fully or something. The motioning was just odd to me because I feel like half the time they would send somebody in a motion, they would stop midway through the motion and come back, and then the defenders wouldn't move with them, and then they'd snap the ball, run the ball to that side, and the defenders would just come straight through and destroy the run. And this happened multiple times. So I don't know. We did at least try and motion a few different times, but it's tough. Staying ahead of the sticks. I don't know what our third down or first down conversion percentage was or anything like that. I haven't really looked at it, but staying ahead of the sticks, we had a few different 3-and-outs, so it is what it is. That was tough. There weren't too many. I mean, there were a few times where the play clock went down really low, but we really didn't have too many delay of games, and it wasn't like Bryce was just out here just flabbergasted and confused and rattled like everyone was saying. It was more so that the offensive line was crumbling around him. The offensive coordinator was making calls that were not going to be beneficial for the most part, and we were just struggling to get anything going. We struggled to get anything going offensively outside of a few different runs. We had a few passes downfield that were solid. That pass from Underwood to McCulley was beautiful. He caught it on the defender's helmet between basically two defenders. That was an incredible play. But then after that, I mean, it was just like McCulley disappeared. He had a play where he ran, and Bryce seemed like he thought McCulley was running a fade route into the corner of the end zone. He was in one-on-one coverage, and then McCulley does runs up to the defender, kind of like jogs up to the defender 25 yards downfield, 1-2, and then turns for a post route or something like that. And Bryce sails it to the left sideline near the end zone, and it looked like if there was a receiver there, oh, shoot, it's a touchdown, but McCulley was not there. He was only running the other way. So that happened a few times where it seemed like receivers either ran the wrong route and the ball got overthrown or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, there were a few failed pass attempts there. So in that sense, yeah, it was kind of rough. The offensive line was the line of scrimmage in general for us was probably the worst part of this game, if I'm being completely honest. Because and the beyond the play calling, the offensive play calling, but yeah, we're just not going to talk about that. The offensive line was getting blown back, and then moving forward to the defensive side of the ball, the interior defensive line did basically nothing for the entirety of the game. Most of the pressure we were able to create came from the defensive ends and blitzers on the outside and maybe up the middle. But even up the middle, the blitzers weren't doing anything. And John Mateer, shout out to John Mateer, because John Mateer is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help him God. That brother is good. He's everything they said he was and some. Because we couldn't tackle him. We would have him dead to rights. Specifically the play where Brandon Hillman was coming off the edge, screaming down the edge, hits him. I don't know if he may not have wrapped up, but he hits him and then he says and slides off, and Mateer is able to break out to the right and fling it to the right side to number 5, and he gets down near the goal line. Another time, Jashawn Barham had him dead to rights, and he's running back there for like a good 2 seconds, just running and weaving and bobbing and dodging. And Jashawn Barham almost had him, and he didn't. He was like hitting him, and Mateer broke off of him and was able to throw it, and it looks like, oh, he's going to toss that up and it's going to get picked off. He throws it, and his tight end comes open. He catches it for a 15-yard first down, 15-yard gain. The dude is elusive. The definition of elusive as far as college quarterbacks go. He's no joke. Kid's a gamer. John Mateer is everything they said he was. Yeah, he even threw an interception, which I figured he would, but I think it was 1 passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns, so he's no joke. He's no joke at all. He was finding open guys, or he was creating holes for himself, breaking tackles. We couldn't bring him down. We were hitting him. He got up hobbling towards the end of the game, but he didn't stop. That brother kept trucking along. Little engine that could. That brother just kept moving. Yeah, so containing Mateer, that didn't happen. Stopping throws over the middle deep. In the first half, that didn't happen. In the first half, he almost the first drive, he got like a 20-yard completion to number 12, Kanak, I think, the tight end, and it was about a 20-yard gain. When it was 3rd and 14, I think it was basically like a inside seam or post route or something like that. But he came open. I don't know if we were in a deep zone. It looked like Mangum was shading to the far right side because Burks was over there. He's the fast receiver from Inkster, Michigan, who had a point to prove, because I think Michigan was his favorite team growing up and Michigan didn't recruit him. He was upset about that, and he let them know because he had a great game today too. Shout out Burks. But yeah, Kenneth came open and he got the completion. But yeah, so I mean, containing Mateer did not happen. Stopping the pass over the middle in the first half, it didn't happen. In the second half, it did. And yeah, it was controlling the line of scrimmage. Definitely did not happen. So we were half for 3, because that first half takes away from hitting one of our defensive keys, which was stopping the middle deep pass. So I'll say we were half for 3 for the key. So we failed there. Yeah. I guess we had a bit of a running game, so I'll give us that. That's one. But staying ahead of the sticks and the receivers, yeah, that was pretty rough. So 1 for 3 on that, and half for 3 on defense. So gotta be better. We need better play calling, and the offensive line needs help. Another thing, This is special teams. Zavada missed a field goal. That is wild to me. I mean, obviously he's not perfect, but he, as far as college kickers go, he's pretty close. He missed the first kick. We were down, and it was crazy because it was a close kick. It was at an angle, but we were down, and at least it was like 30 yards or something like that. I don't know exactly how far it was, but it was on the left side, and he kicks it, and it curves a little bit further left. He hooked it left. And I think it was 14-0 at that point, or 7-0 at that point. He hit another field goal later on, and that was to give us 13 points. I think he hit 2 field goals, actually, now that I think about it. He did. One was 42, and another one was like closer because it was 13. So we had 3, 7, 10, 13, that type of thing. So he had 2 field goals. We didn't muff any punts, and Oklahoma struggled with their returners. It wasn't us struggling with our returners today. It was Oklahoma, but we couldn't really capitalize on any of it. For whatever reason, we would get the ball back, but then get shut down on offense or have a penalty or lose yards or just have really poor play calling, or the offensive line would just get shattered, but we couldn't capitalize. So that was rough. That was kind of rough, but so special teams was interesting. To the defensive side of the ball, Barham came back in the second half, and that helped a lot, I think, because Mateer really started taking hits after that. I mean, he was taking hits before, but he definitely was feeling it in that second half for sure. It was so weird because at certain points we would bite on the read option, and they would hedge towards the running back, but then Mateer would keep it. And it's like, guys, most of this game he's kept the ball. Just watch Mateer. But at the same time, I mean, you can't. I mean, it's a read, and it's easier said than done. Obviously, that's why they're doing it, and I'm not. But it's just So we did not contain Mateer. The defense, the passes over the middle were rough, and we couldn't control the line of scrimmage at all. Our interior defensive line, now I see kind of what people meant when they were saying, like, Kevin Garnett, KG, I'm sorry, Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham were such impactful players because last year we were spoiled. They would get through the line every time. I bet you if we had them, this game would have gone differently because Mateer would have had a giant in his face and a slightly shorter giant in his face as well. So I think that because our defensive line, specifically the interior, the edge rushers were all right. I think Derek Moore was questionable at first because I think he was out for a long time this game. I saw him maybe in the first half. I think he may have re-aggravated something or whatever, but I don't remember seeing him very much after the first half. But our edge rushers were definitely cycling through and playing because I saw Marshall out there, I saw Nichols out there, I saw Brant out there, and TJ Guy was out there a lot. So I don't know if Derek Moore was fully healed or recovered from whatever injury he sustained earlier in the week or last game, but he was out there for a while, but then I didn't see him. Klein was out the whole game too. That hurt because there's a few touchdowns we missed. If that were both passes to Zach Marshall, which respect to Zach Marshall because he did make some plays, but if Klein's out there on the one on the right side where it was the out and up or the wheel route, whatever he ran, it was just outside of his fingertips. But I think Klein is a little faster than Marshall, so that might have been a touchdown. There was another one where Bryce was being pressured. He stepped up into the pocket, tried to run a little bit, but he didn't run. He was just moving up in the pocket and then had to get out of that because the pocket collapsed. And he saw It was either Goodwin. It was Goodwin. He threw it up to Goodwin, but Marshall didn't out and up, and Marshall was running wide open, but he didn't see him because of a split second from the defense getting there, pressure. And if he had seen Marshall, he could have thrown that to him, and that's a touchdown. But that's neither here nor there. But we're talking about defense right now. So the edge rushers were getting there. Barham helped out in the second half, and Jimmy Roller and Cole Sullivan. I think Jimmy Roller played the most. I think I saw Cole Sullivan in some, but Jimmy Roller was out there a lot. Jimmy Roller got a good deflection. He one thing with that read option that Oklahoma was doing is Mateer is so smart with it and just shifty with it that he faked the handoff and really late and then pull it out and so our linebackers are just running into the blockers. Like there were a couple times where I saw Jimmy Roller run into the block almost right away. Like he sprint down the middle and just hit the block or hit either the tight end or the running back. But yeah, Mateer was shaking and baking, man, like Ricky Bobby. But the defensive backs, man, Hillman went down at one point, thought he was injured. He went out for a play or two, came right back. Zeke Berry went down. I think Zeke Berry was really hurt because he was down for a while, and they went to commercial break, and he wasn't out there for the rest of the second half. Prayers up for him. Prayers up for Gio El-Hadi because El-Hadi got hurt. Barham got hurt a little bit. It looked like Marshall, the running back, Jordan Marshall, looked like he got banged up. Who else? It was just rough. We were getting injured left and right. I don't know. Samaj got murked. Samaj Morgan got plastered on a play where he didn't even have the ball and the play was over with. That pass, everyone saw it, but I'm going to say it anyway. The ball hits the ground. He stands there for a second, picks the ball up, walks forward to throw the ball to the ref or just to take it back to the line of scrimmage, and gets rotisseried, just popped by two defensive backs on both sides of the helmet, just ruined. And the refs don't even blink. And it's like 4 or 5 seconds after the play's over. He gets just absolutely tattooed. And he gets up off the ground and falls down like someone who has a concussion and or someone who's got knocked out when they in boxing. He had jelly legs. He was falling forward, gets up and falls again. And then he's right back on the field, not a possession later. It's like, guys, that's player safety at this point. Don't put him back out there. I know they probably checked him and everything and did concussion protocol, but if you see somebody stumble and fall like that after they've gotten hit in the head, take him out. Put Fred Moore in. What are we doing? Put Fred Moore or Marsh or someone, but don't risk player safety. Don't risk Samaj because you want to throw another bubble screen that might get him killed too. I mean, come on. It's players that you got to help him, man. At that point, I was scared for him. I was scared from the whole second half whenever he's out there because he wasn't okay. There's no way he was okay. He got destroyed. And he's 174 pounds and like 5'9". If that. Come on. Take him out. Let him rest. The game, I mean, come on. But, yeah, so the refs, I'm not even going to say it obviously is not. The refs were either blatantly missing calls on us or just couldn't see. Because that should have been called. TJ guy got tackled on a play. That didn't get called. Weird Trey Williams on the play where Trey Williams had the face mask when he tried to tackle Mateer. He was getting held on that play. But that wasn't called. They called him on the face mask though. That should have been offsetting. The hit on Samaj should have been ejection for both players, but they should have been targeting. That's targeting. That should have been an ejection for the whole entirety of the second half and the first half of the next game. But Barham makes a clean hit on a small quarterback, and that's a targeting and ejection. But what they did to Samaj wasn't even a whistle, wasn't a flag. Come on, guys. Come on. Yeah. tough game. Shout out Oklahoma, man. Last couple things I'll say is um, there was the play, I think right before halftime or on the sideline where Bryce Underwood and Justice Haynes got into it. People were making so much more out of that than they needed to. People were questioning, oh, Bryce Underwood's a bad leader. He has no leadership. He's playing poorly. Since when were leaders not allowed or expected to talk to their teammates through issues and come to some type of agreement or edification or understanding? Since when is it bad leadership for your quarterback to go and have a heated argument with his running back to try and get to a common goal of both understanding the play and what's happening on the field? That's not bad leadership. Bad leadership is calling the same type of plays 5, 6, 7 straight plays and not having any better results. Bad leadership is letting your running back or receiver or anyone make a mistake, knowing that you could at least ask them about it and not doing so because you're upset because they upsetted them. How is that not leadership? Because right after halftime, when Justice Haynes got the 75-yard touchdown run, Bryce Underwood was the first one down to the end zone celebrating with him, or one of the first. They shook hands on the sideline after. They shook hands on the sideline after they got in the altercation. But they're not going to show that on the clips because they don't want to. They're just going to, oh, wow, big moment on the sideline. Michigan's falling apart. They weren't punching each other. There weren't people fighting on the sidelines. It wasn't like the whole team had to get involved. There were a couple people involved. They were trying to pull Haynes back and hold Underwood off, but they weren't throwing hands. They weren't fighting. It wasn't a huge deal. They were heated teammates having an argument, trying to come to an understanding on what the other person did wrong during a play, during the drive. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Cam Newton, Randall Cunningham, Joe Montana, all quarterbacks at some point have gotten in the grill of one of their star players and tried to hold them accountable. Get them to understand their responsibility on the play. Tom Brady's throwing iPads and stuff in certain films you see. Peyton Manning's in somebody's face. Cam Newton, the list goes on. Josh Allen, all these guys, Patrick Mahomes. Like, since when was it bad leadership to talk to your player and try to get an understanding so you can move forward and benefit the team for the next drive, the next play, the next game, the next quarter? I don't understand. That's not bad leadership. That's him holding his guy accountable. Yeah, they were heated, but they shook hands at the end of the day, and they weren't punching each other. Yeah, Justice Haynes shoved a little bit with his arm, but it wasn't like he was punching Underwood. It's not like their team started brawling on the sideline. And no, at that point, even later, it wasn't like Underwood was playing so poorly where it's like, oh my gosh, this kid sucks. No, he wasn't throwing interceptions. He didn't fumble. He still hasn't had a turnover yet. For as bad as today looked, he still hasn't had a turnover. He came close, but he still hasn't turned the ball over yet. That's a good thing, at least. So no, it's not bad leadership. It's him getting in the grill of his guy, trying to come to an understanding. They shook hands. Yeah, it was feisty for a second, but they weren't fighting. They're still teammates. They still fight for it and die for one another on the field. So no, it's not bad leadership at all. It's holding him accountable. It's a rough situation because the game is looking bad, but it's not bad leadership at all. Come on, do better. Other than that, the next two games, Sharon Moore is going to be suspended at home against Central Michigan for the week of that game, the entire week. Not just, he can't be on the sidelines, he can't be in the building for the whole week either. And also the week after against Nebraska, he can't be there, probably can't contact anyone in the building either. So we'll see how they do. But those are two significantly less talented opponents than Oklahoma. That was a juggernaut. Shout out to Oklahoma. So, we live and we learn. 24-13 was the final score. My prediction was wrong. I was wrong. I wish we would have won, obviously. Shout out Oklahoma. John Mateer is really the deal. Our offensive and defensive lines need to get better. Receivers need to get better. Overall play calling on offense needs to get better. The defense play calling got better, and the guys got together towards the end of the game because Oklahoma could have throttled us if our defense didn't hold up. Our defense is still elite. Even as bad as that game looked, our defense is still at least elite. Despite losing people, despite shuffling through people, our defense is still solid. So, hey, tell your mama, your cousin, your bro to like, share, and subscribe to the Dave and Blue Show. We lit. Yeah. On to next week.